Veronica Osei was mid-answer when her phone buzzed on the podium. It was a Tuesday in September, and the Family Feud taping had been running for 37 minutes, and the phones of contestants are supposed to be in the green room, and Veronica's phone should not have been on the podium, and the stage manager had already noticed it and was deciding whether to address it when it buzzed a second time, and the screen lit up. Steve Harvey, standing 9 feet away, had better than average eyesight, and had been watching the Osei family with the particular attention he gives families whose casting file he has actually read. He saw the notification on the screen before Veronica did. He saw 5 words in the preview banner. He held up his hand to the floor manager. He held up his other hand toward the board. He said, "Stop the game." Veronica, who had been in the middle of an answer about household items, turned and saw Steve looking at her phone. And then she looked at her phone. The message was from a number she recognized as the medical center in Accra, Ghana. It said, "He is awake. He is asking for you." It was a Tuesday, and the Osei family had driven 4 hours from Charlotte to Atlanta. Veronica, her sister Patricia, Patricia's husband Emmanuel, Veronica's brother-in-law Kwame, and Kwame's teenage daughter Abina. They were a laughing family, expansive and warm, the kind that fills a green room with sound and makes the production staff genuinely happy to have them. Abina, who was 15, had done a game show trivia quiz the night before in the hotel room and won every round, and then refused to let it go until Patricia had threatened to put her in the hallway. The Osei family had a reason for coming that they had not fully articulated in the casting submission. The casting submission said they were a family that loved games and loved each other. Both were true. What it did not say, what Veronica had told only Patricia, was that their father, Emmanuel Sr., was in a hospital in Accra, Ghana, in a medically induced coma following a massive cardiac event 17 days earlier. He had collapsed at his shop, a small electronics repair business he had run for 31 years. The neighbors had called the ambulance. His wife, Veronica's mother, had been at his side at the hospital for 16 of the 17 days, sleeping in the chair beside his bed, eating food that the nurses brought her, calling Veronica every morning at 6 and every night at 9, with updates that were variations on the same news. Stable, unchanged, waiting. Veronica had not gone back to Ghana. She had wanted to. The flights were $1,400 each way. She had $890 in savings after the rent payment. She had called her mother every morning and every night and had said, "Tell him I'm coming as soon as I can." Her mother said, "He knows." Veronica did not know if that was true or if her mother was saying it to spare her. She did not ask. She had kept her phone. She knew it was against production protocol. She had been told to leave it in the green room. She had slipped it into her dress pocket during the final minute in the green room because she was not willing to be unreachable. This was not a rational decision. It was the decision of a daughter. She had put it on the podium because the pocket kept pressing against her hip when she moved, and the vibration would have been impossible to feel in the noise of a game show taping. She had set it face down. She had told herself she would feel it buzz. And that wasn't even the part that changed everything. When Steve Harvey said stop the game, Veronica turned from the board and saw him looking at her phone. Her first feeling was a flash of professional embarrassment. Her second feeling arrived a half-second later because she looked at the screen and saw the message. The message from the Corlebu Teaching Hospital in Accra. 5 words. He is asking for you. Veronica Osei put both hands on the podium. She lowered her head. Patricia, standing 2 spots to her left, saw her sister's posture change and crossed the distance between them in 3 steps. "What?" Patricia said. Veronica turned the phone toward her sister. Patricia made a sound. Steve Harvey was already moving. He was at the podium before the audience had fully processed what had stopped the game. He said, "Is everything okay?" Veronica could not immediately answer. She held the phone with both hands, and her face was doing several things at once. Relief and terror are very close to each other on the face when they arrive simultaneously, and the audience, who did not know what the message said, could not yet read which one was winning. Steve Harvey gently said, "Can I ask what happened?" Veronica handed him the phone. He read the message. He lowered the phone. He pressed his fist to his mouth for a moment. Then he said to the full studio audience, "I need everyone in this room to be very still right now, because something has happened that is more important than this show." He said it simply. He said it as a fact. He turned to Veronica and said, "Your father, is he in the hospital?" Veronica said yes. Steve said, "Is he all right?" Veronica said, "He was in a coma. This message says he just woke up." She said it with the flatness of a woman who is not yet sure the word is real. The studio fell completely silent. 300 people did not move. A woman in the 5th row had her hand over her heart. A camera operator had stopped adjusting his lens. Steve Harvey did not deliberate. He pulled his phone from his jacket pocket and said, "We're going to call your father right now." A producer took one step forward. Steve said, "Sit down." He asked Veronica for the hospital number. She had it memorized, the way people memorize the numbers they call every morning and every night. Steve dialed. He put the call on speaker and held the phone at the center of the stage. 2 rings, 3. A woman answered in Twi. Patricia spoke back in Twi. There was a pause, then a sound that the studio heard, everyone in the building heard, before the family even translated it. A man's voice, thin, not yet strong, the voice of someone who has not used it in 17 days, but present and real and unmistakably conscious. The voice said, in English, one word, "Veronica?" Veronica Osai said her father's name. She said it the way people say a word they have been afraid to speak in case it didn't come back. Her father said her name again. He said, "I'm here." She said, "I know, Daddy. I know." The audience could not stay quiet. They wept, not politely. The full, unmanaged kind of weeping that people do when they are witnesses to something private and are grateful to be there. Steve Harvey had walked 2 paces away and stood with his back to the camera, his shoulders moving. He did not try to compose himself. He let it be what it was. The call lasted 9 minutes. The Family Feud stage, with its brightly lit board and its prize money signs and its game show architecture, held a daughter and her father across 8,000 miles of ocean for 9 minutes. When Veronica handed the phone back to Steve, her father's voice was still audible. He was telling her something in Twi that Patricia translated afterward as, "Tell them I said thank you." Steve Harvey held the phone up toward the ceiling as if the building had a roof that prayers could pass through. He says thank you. He was not done. He pulled out his personal credit card on live television, not a corporate card. His own. He told his business manager, called from the same stage, to book round-trip flights to Accra for Veronica and Patricia on the earliest available flight, economy upgraded to business class, and to ensure the charges were processed before the taping wrapped. He said, "She's not going to ask how she can afford it. She's just going to go." The business manager confirmed the booking in 11 minutes. The flight was the following Thursday. Veronica left for the airport from Atlanta without returning to Charlotte first. He announced both families would receive the full day's prize. The competing family, the Nyens from Houston, had not moved from their podium through any of it. Their matriarch, who had said nothing during the call, raised her hand and said only, in a voice the whole studio could hear, "Give her all of it." The episode aired 6 weeks later, in an edited version that still ran 8 minutes longer than a standard episode. The network approved the extra time without a meeting. The clip of Veronica Osai saying her father's name was viewed 267 million times in 13 days. The hashtag #HeisAsking was used in 41 countries. The full 9-minute call clip was uploaded to the show's official channel and has been viewed an additional 190 million times. 3 months after the taping, Emmanuel Sr. Osai was discharged from Corlebu Teaching Hospital. He had required cardiac rehabilitation and a pacemaker, but he had walked out of the hospital on his own legs. His wife had walked beside him. Veronica and Patricia, who had been in Accra for 11 days and returned 2 weeks before his discharge, had watched via video call from Charlotte. A year after the taping, Emmanuel Sr. Osai visited the United States for the first time. Veronica took him to dinner. Afterward, she asked if there was anything he wanted to see. He said he wanted to see the Family Feud stage. The actual stage, not on television, the real one. She called the production company. They said yes immediately. She took him on a Tuesday. He stood at the podium where she had stood when her phone buzzed, and he was quiet for a moment, and then he said, in English, "It's smaller than it looks." She laughed. He laughed. Then he said, "Thank you for not turning the phone off." She said, "I couldn't." She has not turned it off since. If this story about a phone that should have been in the green room and the 9 minutes that made it worth keeping moved you, make sure to subscribe and hit that thumbs up button. Share this video with someone who needs to know that staying reachable is sometimes the bravest thing you can do. Have you ever received a call or a message at the exact right moment? Let us know in the comments and ring that notification bell for more moments that remind us that love finds the signal, no matter the distance.